Writer, TV producer, content creator, tech entrepreneur, Andrew Duplessie, a collection of short stories is now in stores. It's called Too Scared to Sleep. Andrew, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Let's first of all talk about, the words on the page are terrifying, but so are these QR codes that are in the book. Let's talk a little bit about that.
I'm glad you liked them. I got my copy here too. So yeah, I think growing up, I always I sort of preferred shorter books. So I love Goosebumps and Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew, and I thought it would be really cool to actually integrate technology inside of the book. So the book is packed with 30 short stories and 30 short movies. You can scan it like you do any other QR code, and it comes with these awesome short videos, and they're each different. But if you love Black Mirror, if you love Goosebumps, you'll love those.
Because I watch a lot of scary movies, especially around like Halloween time. That's like my favorite thing to do. So I have a pretty like wild imagination when I'm reading a book. But the videos are terrifying. Like everything that I can imagine, it like completely elevated what I was experiencing in my mind.
I'm so glad that you watched them. Yeah, I'm like that. That's the goal. The goal is for you not to sleep tonight. So
mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. You dedicate the book to your two brothers, your sister, your parents, and your wife. Tell me, who's into the horror genre? Who inspired you? Who like still scares you? To this day, who do you have the best memories about being scared?
Well, my brothers scare me, but that's a different story. I'd say my inspiration is 100% my mom. She's a teacher. She had us read at a really young age, Harry Potter's, whatever. And I didn't really like it at first, but after a while, I was like, I actually really like this. And so, and she's still a teacher to this day. And I think that, that is for sure my inspiration. And she was pumped. I did a reading with her class yesterday. It was like the best life moment.
Oh, that is amazing. I mean, speaking of that, especially like on a serious note, is that oftentimes young kids struggle to find a topic where they get interested in reading. And sometimes it's like, oh, I like, using my imagination, or I like animals, or I like space. Tell me, why that's maybe important for someone who, maybe pick up one of these books and then finds a love of reading that lasts a lifetime.
Totally. I think that's a great point. I think less and less kids are spending time reading. They're playing video games or Roblox or Minecraft, whatever. And so I hope this is a happy medium where you can get that technology aspect and you can sort of, read as you would, and as we have been doing for many, many years. And so I hope this blend of worlds onboards new readers that eventually move on to longer pieces or just start to love reading. So that's exactly the point.
And especially, with the content that you put up on TikTok and Booktok becoming such a huge platform right now too, is that people who maybe are, active on social media a ton might pick up the book or might see, those videos there. And then, hey, I can be interested in my phone and all these technology, but also picking up a book.
Totally. And that's like sort of the reactions I've seen over the past week. And when I spoke at Comic-Con is that people are just loving the videos and they'll share them on social media. Or they'll film like themselves reacting to the videos. And so I'm hoping they get that like sort of paranormal activity, marketing campaign in the theater all those years ago with the book. But yeah.
With creating the videos, was it an experience maybe on an American Horror Story that you're like, okay, this really freaked me out, or I could see the crew really freaking out about this particular point? Like, this is something that I want to like make sure I put into my book.
For sure. I mean, that was my first, exposure into horror. Really was that experience, and that sort of, got me going. And I'm actually a pretty scared person. I find like I don't like horror. I'm in the back of the theater. I'm kind of like this, and so I definitely avoid horror for the most part. But now because I write it, I sort of consume it, and I feel like it makes me a better horror writer because I'm just like everyone else. I'm very scared, too scared to sleep. And so that's sort of the story there. Yeah.
With your brothers and your sister, was there a movie that you watched as kids where you were like, just how you mentioned, like this most of the time?
Oh my gosh. Like the Jim Carrey, The Mask movie, even though it wasn't a scary movie, like when he did The Mask, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so scary. But yeah, I think really, I don't know, it's tough. At that age, everything was scary. Like The Sandlot was scary. And so, yeah, I would say The Mask.
Let's talk a little bit about the collection of stories, the inspiration for them. What was that one point that like, all right, this is the start kicking off point for these collection of stories, and now I've got this collection for the book.
Totally. Yeah, so I had basically like a 10-year career in tech, and so what I saw in tech, the dark side of YouTube, the dark side of social media, is a lot of that's in here. and it's sort of like what what in the future could be sort of a spooky way that ghosts could come about. So it could be through VR headsets or with augmented reality. And so a lot of my inspiration was actually my experiences in tech, and some based in a loose reality of what I think could potentially come soon with like artificial intelligence and whatnot. So yeah, long story short, I think that was the key inspiration. And the book itself is broken up into categories. So if you prefer more Black Mirror, there's more Black Mirror. If you prefer more traditional horror, there's more traditional horror. So I wanted to give that optionality.
Let's talk a little bit about you reading Harry Potter and Goosebumps growing up.
Yeah.
What would
Yeah.
you say to that version of Andrew, knowing that this book came about from all those years of reading those books?
I guess I would say, yeah, the horror stuff took me so off guard. Like I had no idea that I would end up writing horror. I wrote it for a friend who had an app, in 2016, and I wrote him a short story. He posted it on YouTube, and it got like 50 or 60 million views overnight. And so I was like, okay, maybe I should write horror. As much as I think it's scary, like maybe I should, put my work onto paper. And so I think that was the biggest thing I would tell my younger self is like, just get ready. You're actually going to be writing.
Going to your mom's classroom, how old were the kids, and what was their reaction when you were reading the stories to them?
They're a little young. They're like 9 to 13, and I'm like, ooh, like this is right on the edge. Like some of these kids are actually too young. So we kept it with some of the lighter stories, but yeah, it was just an amazing moment to be able to do that, and I think it was super fun.
Awesome, Andrew. Thank you so much for your time today. Too Scared to Sleep, now in stores. Make sure when you're checking out the book to also check out those QR codes for some scary visuals. And congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you.